I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just spoke to Israel a little while ago. I think they'll be very happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace, guaranteed peace. If this happens, and, I can't guarantee it, but I think it's going to. My life is a deal. That's all I do is deals my whole life. I think this is something that's going to happen. And why would it happen? So tomorrow morning, sometime, their time, we were expected to blow up their largest electric generating plant that cost over $10 billion to build. It's a very good one. There was no dearth of money. And one shot, it's gone. It collapsed. Why would they want that? So they called. I didn't call. They called. We want to make a deal. And we are very willing to make a deal. It's got to be a good deal. And it's got to be no more wars, no more nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons anymore. They're agreeing to that. Any of that stuff, there's no deal.
And it's over that. So, and you target.
You said you want to get the enriched uranium. How are you going to get the enriched uranium?
It's very easy. If we have a deal with them, we're going down and we'll take it ourselves.
Can I ask you, and if we try to lifting sanctions on Iranian oil that was now 15, you criticized President Obama for giving Iran $1.7 billion.
Well, I just want to have as much oil in the system as possible. And we don't even know if Iran gets that money. Frankly, I think it's very hard for them to get it. If you have ships that are out there that are loaded up with oil, rather than keep it there, I would rather see it go to the system. Any small amount of money that Iran gets is not going to have any difference in this war. But I want to have the system be lubricated.
Even $14 billion, you don't think helps them?
Where's the $14 billion?
With the inflated price, they get $14 billion from the...
I don't think they're getting the money. I can tell you, when this is all over, I will tell you who's getting the money.
Because if we will go on, yeah? So then that'll take their weeks to arrive. You think that the weeks is great?
Where will you go?
Well, it's been reported that the Marines have left California, left San Diego, left Why are they out there now?
Well, let me ask you, if you were in my position, and I asked you that question, you really believe I should be facing the question. So, we're going to talk about... Yeah. So, let it by It's never said. These people are let in by ICE. We're getting them out fast. That's why ICE is so important. They're doing such a good job. This animal, I saw the whole thing last night, they gave you a briefing, came into Joe Biden with his open door policy, and his supporters are Kamala, who never saw the bullet. Never made one phone call. All the ICE people, you see, they all know me. Everyone knows me. They like me. I speak to them all the time. Didn't make one phone call during 4 years in the supporters to anybody of the party. Never went there. This person came in through the open door policy of Joe Biden. And we're taking them out by the tens of thousands. We're doing a great job, but it's a shame. Remember this. Joe Biden is a gang of radical left lunatics. Some very smart, but radical left and bad ideology. Sick people. These people have hurt our country very bad.
So, would you end up hitting those Iranian power plants? How is that different from what Russia has been doing in Ukraine by hitting Ukrainian power plants?
Well, I think it's a lot different. If you look at the nuclear weapons that they wanted to have, that they wanted to possess, a lot of things are different. I'm not a fan of what Russia's doing either, just so you understand. All right? But it's a lot different. We're talking about a country that has been evil for 47 years. It's been horrible. Death all over the world. Not just us. Look at the way they attacked unexpectedly all of those countries surrounding it. It was not supposed to. Nobody was even thinking about it. They wanted to take over the Middle East and they wanted to knock out Israel permanently. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would have been able to.
I mean, what is it to go on?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at it, and you never covered it, if you look at his tweets or whatever he went on, if you look at his tweets or his statement, you go for him. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met killed him. He came and his wife was killed. He married very quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again and he lost. I said, you know, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him, he was a pretty hard person. But I said, you know, it's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. But he gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me. You know, being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much. Because look at it, he loses twice in Congress. He ran not very good campaign. Could have won, but he loses twice. How do I get him? I have my people call him because I didn't deal with him for the most part. I told him a couple of times, but I never told him at all. I had no idea his ideology was all right, whatever it is. I can say this. He said very strongly that Iran is not a threat. Iran's been a threat for 47 years, and there's not a country in the world that doesn't agree with me. So I take this guy, Joe Kent, who lost twice to Congress, pretty badly, and was devastated, and I know that he lost his life. So instead of letting him live out his life, I brilliantly have my people call and offer him a job in security in the White House. Now what does he do? He goes out and he says that Iran is not a threat. To get publicity. Now, I probably signed up with CNN or maybe signed up with your division of dispatch. But probably signed up with CNN or somebody. But if you look at his tweets, X's or Truth, whatever he uses, I don't know because I don't follow him. What he says, 100% he agrees with him. All of a sudden he leaves. I never knew he had a problem. Now I hear they're looking at him leaking. That's positive. Just see your participate correct. He lost twice badly. He also lost his wife. He's remarried since. He lost his wife. I felt badly for him. They told my people, reach out to him, give him a job at the White House. This is the thanks I get. Any other questions?
Iran was not an imminent threat. That was the intelligence.
I think it was an imminent threat. I think that Iran, if we didn't bomb them with the B-2 bombers, and that's not a fact, but if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to a month. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it as soon as they got it.
Right now.
Oh, we hit them so hard, we obliterated them. But that doesn't mean with the right equipment, you can't dig down and go get it. We don't want that. We don't want that. But we obliterated that site. They still haven't been able to get it. That was a complete success. But if it wasn't, they would have had, if we didn't hit them, if we didn't use the B-2 bombers, which are unbelievable, we just ordered 22 more of them. Modern versions, super modern versions. If we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had within 2 weeks of that attack. That's why we hit them, because we knew they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it on Israel and the entire Middle East.
What the Memphis is down like 43% since you began this task force. Is this a template you think is
What I'm doing today, really, this was supposed to be, this was a little bit before, set up a couple of weeks ago. This was before we had this situation with Iran take place last night. And by the way, they're just not communicating. When they say, I'm sure they don't mean that. When somebody says, oh, I didn't know you, we were talking last night, and I'm sure they have a lack of communication, which is appropriate considering we blew up, in addition to the Navy, Air Force, every division, their radar. We also blew up all of their anti-aircraft and communication. So they have no telecommunication. So there is a lack of, I would imagine, a lack of. Well, we think all we can do is say, look, we have numerous leader groups. They've all been killed. Very dangerous position. Khomeini was killed. Khomeiни's son is unavailable. Nobody knows what happened to him. I could say they haven't seen him there. Something is going on with him. But regardless, I don't consider him really the leader. But they do have some leaders left. We grew up group number one, group number two, a lot of group number three. So we think we have people that are very representative of the country and will do a good job.
Are you on Musk's offer to be a TSA worker? Is this something that you can keep in there?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Let it do that. And I want to thank ICE because they set this bill so strongly that they'll do great. And if that's not enough, I'll bring in the National Guard. We're not going to have the Democrats destroy our country. These people are the most destructive, sick people, the Democrats. They want, and they're fighting for this. They're fighting for men and women's sports. They're fighting for transgender for everybody. Everybody go out, think you get a nice operation, and change the sex of your kids. They're fighting for, no, think of it. They don't want you to do voter ID. You walk into a booth. In California, if a person who's doing voting, an official, asks you for identification, they're subject to being arrested. What's wrong with this country? So we're fighting it hard. And I think they should be listening. The Democrats are being blamed for the shutdown and a death row, and they're getting killed. That's right. When I announced yesterday about ICE, the Democrats, we want to settle. We want to settle. And I told the people, don't settle. Don't settle. Because we have something bigger. Only settle if you get the Save America Act, voter ID, and so important for citizenship, etc. Thank you very much. The dealing really mine. That was mine. That was like the paperclip. You know the story of the paperclip? 182 years ago, a man discovered the paperclip. It was so simple. And everybody that looked at it said, why didn't I think of it? I took my idea. First person I called was Tom Homan. I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's great. And then I saw today there was masks already. The mask was okay. You have a statement. And I asked them, would it be possible to take off the mask? Because they should wear a mask when they're dealing with the murderers and the drug stuff. Let it go.
You're reaching out. You can mention points of agreement with Iran right now. What can you give us a
like 15 points. 15.
Iran has said yes.
Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number one. That's number 1, 2, and 3. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
They said yes to that?
They would be.
Will we see arrests? We can imagine arrests at airports. Will we see ICE arrest illegal migrants at airports?
Are we talking? That's why the Democrats are going crazy. Because they've allowed, by what they did in Koda, which with ICE, who are a very high level. I mean, they really are a high level group of people. And they love it because they're able to now arrest illegals as they come into the country. That's very fair to territory. But that's not why they're there. They're really there to help. Are we talking to Iran directly? No, with Lebanon for medical purposes, civilian purposes. They are. Thank you.
What about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of that?
That will be open very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be able to control the flow of oil?
Jointly control.
By who?
Maybe me.
You want the United States to be in
Me
control?
and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah is. Yeah. And there'll also be a form of a very serious form of regime change. Now, in all fairness, everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting up. There's automatically a regime change. So we're dealing with some people that I find to be, very reasonable, very solid. The people within know who they are. They're very respected. And maybe one of them will be exactly what we're looking for. Look at Venezuela, how well that's working out. We are doing so well in Venezuela with oil and with the relationship between the president-elect and us. And maybe we find somebody like that in Iran.
Are you considering any more options to lower the price of oil while these talks?
The price of oil will drop like a rock as soon as a deal is done. I guess it already is today. No, we have a very serious chance of making a deal. That doesn't guarantee anything. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm not going to come out here in a week or 2 weeks and have you all say, oh, you said. I didn't say anything. All I'm saying is we are in the throes of a real possibility of making a deal. And I think if I were a betting man, I'd bet for it. But again, I'm not guaranteeing anything. They want to make a deal very badly. Thank you.
What changes would you like to see in DHS under Mark Wayne Mullen?
Well, he's going to be fantastic. He'll make his own change. He's already given me a list of people he wants to bring. He's a fantastic guy. I think he's just the right guy. You all know him. He's a very open, smart guy, very successful actually in business, which people don't know. And he's a friend of mine. I think Mark Wayne is going to be fantastic. Thank you.
Are these
Thank
direct talks?
On the plane crash that happened there
Terrible.
last week?
They made a mistake. It's a dangerous business. That's terrible. Thank you.